One shot is all you get. Crimson Trace rifle scopes help you take aim when that shot comes. Purpose-built with maximum features, versatility, and a lifetime warranty. Crimson Trace will elevate your performance in moments that matter.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where there's more to talk about than shooting. There's reloading and hunting and self-defense, too.
You know, we get wrapped up in the gun control debate, the fight, the battle, Second Amendment. It's all very important. It's all critical, and we have to do all that. And then we talk about self-defense, and we talk about all that, and that's all interesting and important, and for a lot of us, it's a part of who we are. And in the middle of it, one of the things I fear occasionally is that we forget that for most of us, the reason we got involved with shooting is because it's fun. Shooting is fun. I've often called that our secret weapon in this whole deal. If you take someone out and introduce them to shooting, they go, oh, wow, I didn't realize it was that much fun. And you go, well, you know, why do you think we've been doing this so much and for so long? It is fun. Recreational shooting, which comes in many, many different forms. You know, handguns, rifles, shotguns, and, you know, a dozen or more games in each one of those. And new ones come along all the time. And one of the things that's really fun is it's fun to do it, but then when you can turn around and help somebody get involved, a friend, or if you really want to get serious about helping youngsters get involved, and that's a whole different deal. Joining me to talk about that and a lot of other things, Jim Dunn is the president of Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Well, Tom, thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of highlight some of these other things that you were talking about. And we totally agree with the idea that, you know, the future lies in the youth.
Well, you know, and we probably ought to explain what we're talking about, which is, for me, it is if the number of people who are involved in the shooting sports, the number of people who own guns goes down and down and down, then actually the Second Amendment and gun rights are in jeopardy. So you could say that in keeping the numbers of shooters up and getting youngsters involved is, in fact, a Second Amendment activity, isn't it?
I would totally agree. I have a good friend, Guy Relford, here in Indianapolis called The Gun Guy, that's got a radio show. And, you know, when he gets in arguments with anti-Second Amendment types, one of the things he tells me he hears is that when all you old NRA guys and old ATA guys die off, that's when the Second Amendment attacks are really going to come. And that makes a lot of sense. If we're not adding to our bases, some of those guys roll off the other end, you know?
Makes perfect sense, and we've got to keep pouring new people into it, not to mention the fact that there are some really serious benefits to the people who are being the mentors for youngsters, but also, and first of all, explain the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation so people know where you're coming from, okay?
Okay, well, what we are is we support youth shooting sports in Indiana. I started a 501c3 in 2004 because I was the coach of a 4-H team, shotgun team, and some of the kids on the team couldn't afford shells. So some of the coaches who probably had troubles affording it too were paying for the shells for the kids. So I said, look, if somebody ever wanted to donate $1 million to youth in Indiana, they'd have no place to go. So I went to my own attorney and filed the paperwork and started a 501c3. And then a few years later, we ran across Larry and Brenda Potterfield and Dick Leeper, and they gave us a multiple six-figure amount as a donation for our endowment. And we've been using it for kids to shoot. In Indiana, we help pay for shells and targets and travel and all that kind of stuff.
I'm going to say something here, and I know it sounds preposterous to people who are not involved in it. Okay, I'm just going to bounce this off of you because you've been in competitive shooting, well, actually all your life. I have found it to be rare to the point of almost unheard of for a young person who grows up as a serious competition shooter in any of the competition sports, shooting sports, to go out and get himself or herself in trouble. I know it sounds Pollyannish and silly and almost ludicrous, but they generally turn out to be really good people. With your background, I'd like to get you to weigh in on that.
Well, there's absolutely no question, and I see it because I've been coaching 4-H kids for 15 years, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of kids come through the program. And my friend Dennis Reynolds has been doing it for 30 years, and we sat down one time and calculated that he had probably handed a shotgun to probably 6,000 or 7,000 kids. And to our knowledge, not one single one of them has ever been in trouble of any kind that we know about. Not one.
I know. I mean, you say that, and I'm so not surprised. And at the same time, I realize to someone who is not one of us, who's not in this world, they're thinking, that's ridiculous. The odds simply say that's not possible. I'm just thinking, I've been doing this for decades. And I go back and think, I can't come up, not to say that there hasn't been one, I'm sure, or some, but it's so rare, it would be just weird. What is it about the shooting sports, about bringing a youngster in and handing him or her, a lot of women or young girls shooters now, handing them a shotgun or a rifle or even a handgun? What is it about all of that brings this about?
I remember when I was going to Ross Camp 15 years ago to get my NRA certification and be certified as a 4-H instructor, and my friend Dennis Reynolds says to me, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to 4-H to learn how to teach kids how to shoot, to be a youth coach." He goes, "No, you're not." He said, "You're going to 4-H to learn how to do youth development, to teach these kids using the firearms, responsibility, dedication, competitiveness." And so every time I hear about one of these, we've seen some pretty young kids doing some of these bad things we've seen here lately. Mm-hmm. And every time I see that on the TV or hear that, I think, you know what? What if that kid had been in 4-H, that boy or girl had been in 4-H, and their parents had been taking them, and they'd been shooting a couple times a week all summer, and their parents were involved, and the coaches were involved, and the mentors were involved? What would have been a different outcome there? And I think the outcome probably would have been a lot different.
Well, I totally agree. Also there's something about giving a young person responsibility of a powerful tool, expecting them to measure up, and having that peer pressure of everybody around them is handling guns safely and responsibly, still having fun, but they're doing it safely. And I think kids rise to that occasion when they have that expectation and they're allowed to do it.
There's no question. And the thing about when you're using a firearm to teach youth development, when you tell them no horseplay, gun down range, don't load till you're on the station and all that, and if you guys, they all know if they do something wrong, they get sent home.
Yes.
And there's no way that they're are going to make that mistake, because they've all been through Hunter Ed. They've all been through 12 hours of class with us before they're allowed on the field. And I can tell you, when I'm around our 4-H kids, I'm safer than I am if I walk out onto a public course to shoot around a sporting place.
Absolutely. Because Jim Dunn we're talking with Jim Dunn. He's president of the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation. Jim, hold on here. I want to take a break, come back. And one of the things I want to talk about is, what does the adult get out of this? What does it do? Because clearly where I'm headed with this is trying to get more adults to get involved in this. But the proposition is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me as an adult to get involved? And we'll pose that with Jim. If you have been involved with youth shooting programs, we would love to get your take. You can join us in this conversation. 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun.
For 25 years, Crimson Trace has led the industry in laser and light technology and customer service. Now, Crimson Trace is proud to offer electronic sights and rifle scopes for tactical, target, and hunting applications, with the same Crimson Trace offer of free batteries for life on all products. The new rifle scope line is also backed by an unconditional lifetime warranty from the brand that you have trusted for over 2 decades. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
This is Ryan Gresham with Gun Talk. Visit guntalk.com/win to enter our latest giveaway for a chance to win a Kimber in September. Our grand prize winner receives the Kimber Evo SP Custom Shop 9mm handgun, a collaborative design between engineers and gunsmiths, with stainless steel slide, G10 grips, True Glow Tritium Pro sights, and 2 7-round magazines. Enter now through September 27th at guntalk.com/win.
It's back. The Smith & Wesson 10mm revolver. Yes, the Model 610 is back in 4 and 6.5-inch barrels. 6-shot moon clips full of powerful 10mm rounds. Plus, you can shoot 40 S&W ammo in it too. Stainless steel, black synthetic finger groove grips, interchangeable front sight with an adjustable rear sight. Take it to 10 with the Model 610 revolver. Visit smith-wesson.com.
Hey, welcome back. We're talking with Jim Dunn. He's the president of the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation, also a very experienced sporting clays shooter. Jim, when did you first start shooting sporting clays or clay targets?
I started shooting trap, old ATA American trap, with my father when I was 15 years old. He was a salesman, and he was in a league with some of his customers. And every Saturday for about 6 weeks in the summer, we would ride for about an hour in the car wherever we were going, and I would shoot 16-yard singles and handicap with him and his customers. And I was in charge, but strangely enough, this is how much the world has changed. I was in charge of the guns and doing all the reloading and putting them in the car and taking them downstairs and locking them up in the gun cabinet. If my dad wanted his 1100, he had to come see me and let me unlock the cabinet for him.
I remember my dad getting me to load his shotgun shells for him when he got into trap shooting. I was probably 12, and I'm down there, like child labor, cranking on a handle of a CH loader using felt wads, making ammo, and just like a little munchkin, and I'm just cranking them out. And so, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was kind of the deal. If you wanted to shoot, you had to load shells and load the trunk, and Dad just showed up and paid for the targets.
That's not a bad deal, though. So, all right, so you've been doing this a long time. I posed the question before we went to the break, and we talk about what the kids get out of it. But what do the adults get out of being involved as mentors and coaches for young shooters?
I would say there's 2 points that I would like to make. It causes personal development on the part of the coach, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it's also just pure joy, to have a kid that's missing a target and say, move your feet, hold here, lead it more, and he smashes the next target, and he's got the biggest smile you ever saw on his face in your whole life.
Yeah,
that is just fun. That is just fun. But it's also, we talk about youth development. There's some adult development that goes on here too. I had a case where we had a guy on a trap field next to us load 4 shells in his gun. And I had about 50 kids and parents around. So I walked over there and said, hey, no more than 1 shell, unload your gun. So he did, and I turned around and walked away, and he loaded 4 shells back in his gun again.
Oh.
So I walked back over there, and I said, 1 shell, empty your gun, And I turned around, he did it again. I walked back and said, empty your gun, get out of here. I'm throwing you off the course, out of here. Tell the guy inside that Jim Dunn threw you out. Go tell him. And when I got back to the kids, the head coach for the team walked over to me and he said, 2 years ago, before you started hanging out with us and got trained and was coaching kids, would you have thrown that guy out of the facility? And I looked at him, I said, you know what? No, I wouldn't have. So there's some development on my part. I had some personal development because I learned that it's important to protect these kids, these 4-H kids, and if somebody's doing something unsafe, I don't want him around our teams, our kids, or our parents, or our coaches, so I threw him out.
And I want to explain to people that that is a safety deal. That is a basic rule. It's one shell. If you're going to be having one target, you put one shell. If you're calling for 2 targets, you put in 2 shells, but you don't load any more than that because when you're done, you want to be finished with an empty gun. And that's the way it is for all the clay target games. So just want people to understand what you were doing was this was a safety violation that you were calling him on.
Exactly. That's against the rules. It's one shell at a time. When you're shooting ATA 16-yard singles traps, you're only allowed to load one shell, and he was breaking a basic known safety rule and endangering everybody around him.
Jim, I'm thinking here, there are a lot of people who are looking for something to, and they may not know it, but they are looking for something to enrich in their life. Mm-hmm. And I really think getting involved with youth shooting, if you are a gun guy or gal, and boy, we need more female instructors, more female coaches out there. I think this is a great way to enrich in your life and be a part of something that's big and rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would totally agree. And can't remember if I was listening to your show. I think I was. You had a guy on that was talking about youth shooting in 4-H and how many millions of kids are in 4-H across the United States.
Yes, I mean, I think it's huge numbers. 4-H is actually the largest youth shooting organization there is.
Yes, it's monstrous. I mean, when they have their nationals, there's tens of thousands of kids at these things, and they have to compete. They have to qualify in their local area to be able to go to the nationals. So anybody that was interested in coaching, they make you go through the NRA shotgun, for the shotgun anyway. Mm-hmm. You have to go to that, and then we go to Purdue, to Ross Camp for a day and a half of training. The NRA people were there, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources were there, and you get certified. And I would say every county has an extension office in it.
Right.
And 4-H is run by whatever the local land-grant college is. In Indiana, it's Purdue. So I would tell you to pick up the phone and call the extension office in your county and say, hey, I'm interested in rifle, pistol, shotgun, archery, black powder, whatever it is, mm-hmm. and say, I'd like to know who the head of the program is for the county, and I would like to call them and see if they'd be willing to let me help.
Well, and you're never going to get a no. When you say, I want to help, they'll say yes. And then, because all you really need to say is, how can I help? And they'll throw you into the middle of it. For people who are in Indiana, is there anything you can tell them how to get involved, how to help you with what you're doing? Well,
we've got a very active Facebook page that I administer along with a couple of the other coaches in Indiana. It's the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation. So if you go to our Facebook page inside Facebook and just put in IYSSF, it'll come right up. And you can message me and say, hey, I live in this county or that county. Is there an SCTP team here? Who's the coach? Who's the contact? And I can find somebody for them to talk to.
Okay. So it's on Facebook, you're looking for the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation, or IYSSF. And also you got your website, IYSSF.org or .org, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes, we do.
And you guys are to set up, I see you got a way to set up for donations and also for people that want to basically put you in the will, that kind of a thing.
Yes, estate planning. The Boy Scouts do it all the time. Some churches do, and we are a 501c3. We have the same tax. We have the same tax status as Goodwill. And if somebody would want to make an estate gift to us, we're just a gift and write it off if their CPA says it's approved. We can do that too. We've been given guns. We've been given money. And we can take it in and sell it and deposit it in. Because, see, we have a foundation account with the Midway USA Foundation,
right?
Just like all of the teams do. And I'm on the board of the foundation, of the Midway USA Foundation, and it's up now to $150 million. So,
wow.
We just went through our grant cycle in the spring, and we gave away $3.5 million that affected 27,000 kids.
Good grief.
So all of these teams, all of these SCTP teams and AIM teams have Midway USA accounts. So they're custody at the Tulsa Community Foundation. So they could give IYSSF a tax deductible contribution if their CPA approves it, or if they've got a local SCTP team at their county or at their gun club, they could stroke a check and under applicable law, if they've got they could
help out the local team. Yeah,
they could help out the local team.
Jim, thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing, man. And this has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of get the word out and maybe encourage some people to get involved. These kids need adult help, and as you say, but it also helps the adults as well. And I appreciate the way that you've explained it all.
Well, thank you, Tom. It's great to have some time listening to you on the podcast all the time, and it's fun to have a chance to talk about it a little bit.
All right. Thanks so much. Jim Dunn, president of the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation. Thank you very much. I know you may not even know that you kind of got a hole that you need to fill in your life. Getting involved in a project where you become part of a team, part of a group effort, part of a cause, part of a thing, maybe this is yours. I don't know. It may not be for everybody, but it may be something that you want to take a look at, particularly if you have ever been a competitive shooter. Even if you haven't, they'll teach you how to coach. It'll be fine. You can get involved. If you have gotten involved in youth sports, either as a young shooter or as an adult, I would love to hear from you. Now is your chance to share your experience. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Also do it with Tom Talk Gun. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
I heard the click, click, click of her stiletto heels coming down the hall. And I caught her perfume before she opened the door to my office. And she stood there looking like $1,000,000 tax-free. I want to talk to you, she said. Come back later, I said. I'm listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk right now.
All right, we're back with you. Tom Gresham here. Number is 866-TALK-GUN. We're pretty much open lines if there's a gun or a shooting activity you want to talk about. If you're thinking about buying a gun for self-defense, I can help you out. Give me a holler. We'll talk you through the process. Generally, there are sometimes I have been known, on occasion, to tell somebody he or she doesn't get to have a gun. I know it sounds weird, but it happens. Benny is back with us on line 4 to help us out with the 303 British. Hey, Benny, welcome back.
Hey, Tom. Thank you.
You bet.
For welcoming me back. I hope Leroy is still listening. That Brit 303, I have one. I've had it for probably going on 30 years. About 25 years ago, I sporterized it, and I use it for hunting. The ballistics of that Brit 303 is just shy of that of a 308. So, it's a pretty good rifle. However, the age of his, I think he said it was 1918. I would first have a gunsmith check it out and make sure that it's in sound condition. But he can still get that ammunition on the market, and it runs maybe $22 a box for 20 rounds.
Okay.
174 grain, 185 grain. It's a soft point. They've got a flip-up peep sight in the rear with it's scalable out to 1,200 meters, believe it or not.
Oh, that's ambitious.
The aircraft of the British in World War II actually used the Brit 303 round as well.
Right.
It's a substantial chunk of lead going down range. I certainly wouldn't want to get hit with it, but it is great for deer and hog.
And I want to echo what you said. If you've got this older British Enfield rifle, definitely get it to a gunsmith, have it checked out, make sure it is safe before you go shoot it. But yeah, there's factory ammo available for it. And yeah, when I think 303, I always think of the Vickers as well. You know, the machine gun on the aircraft and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Been used a lot. Benny, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that. I want to scoot down to line 5 with Norman out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. Hey, Norman, a Boy Scout instructor, huh?
Yes, sir. I'm a training counselor, NRA training counselor, and I spend most of my time with the Boy Scouts of America.
Okay.
And we just recently hosted the World Scout Jamboree, United States, Canada, and Mexico, and we were up in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. We had 50,000 youth from about 150 countries around the world, and I want to tell you that the second most popular event at the Jamboree were the guns, because probably 95% of those kids from around the world had never seen a gun.
Oh.
And I was in charge of the rifles. Mm-hmm. I had 32 22s and 30 308s, 223s. On my ranges, and we basically put 15,000 kids through that range in 8 days.
Wow! How much ammo did you shoot?
There was 870,000 rounds. Rifles. I'm talking about the guns. Total between the bows and the barrels. They divided up into the bows, which is a different type of archery, crossbows, longbows.
Okay.
And then we have shotguns, 5-stand trap, sporting clays, and then we have pistols, static pistol line, steel targets, and then we have the rifles, the 22s and the high-powered. Between all of those, we had 1.45 million rounds downrange.
Wow.
Without a single incident.
How long have you been teaching or instructing youth shooters?
About 20 years now.
Why? What do you get out of it?
Well, I started out in scouting. Boy Scouts made me, the person I am. The values, we instruct kids in values and leadership, and that put me through a career in the Air Force, a career in anesthesia, and it made me the person I am, and I give back. I want to give back and, allow these kids. A lot of these kids don't have any influence, any male influence, and it's rewarding. And if you could have seen the faces of those kids after they pull that trigger for the first time, or the big guns, you get them on the big guns, and the smiles are just worth the whole thing. I had 55 instructors, certified NRA instructors, and every single one of them said, they worked from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock on the range, on the line all day long, and with the noise and the sun, the heat. He said, and every single one of them said the smiles on the kids' faces made it all worthwhile.
It's interesting to me. You said something that just yesterday I was telling somebody about my growing up, being a scout, Cub Scout, Boy Scout, Explorer Scout, and I said, it was for me very much helped make who I am. It established a lot of my values. And it sounds corny, but I basically have Boy Scout values and all those things that you're taught there. I took them in, it made them a part of me, and like to try to think I live up to those as much as I can. And I love that you mentioned that, but also I can just see all your instructors out there. It's like, okay, it's hot, I'm tired, it's noisy, I'm worn out, and this is the best thing that I've done this year.
and they all said, I'll do it again.
Right.
I can't wait to sit down, but I'll do it again.
That's a great thing. Hey, Norman, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for all of that, for all these kids, for all of us. It's important, and we just, I would encourage somebody who's considering it. We simply need more people to do it. The more people we have, the more kids we can handle through the programs. Again, thank you, Norman. I appreciate the call. Quick break here. Mike, Clyde, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you guys as soon as we come back. Oh, yeah, we have open room lines. We have room for you if you'd like to join us. And as you can tell, I got the OC ADD thing going. Squirrel? What is that? Okay, yeah. In other words, we'll talk about anything. You just call me, we'll talk about it. 866-TALK-GUN.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at TimneyTriggers.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms. You want to reach for history, for greatness. So reach for the FN57, a 5.7 millimeter pistol built with the DNA of over a century of legendary FN firearms. And now, it's within reach at your local firearms dealer. The FN57 is the perfect combination of accuracy and stopping power. FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms.
Just before we get to our callers, one quick thought Jim just shared with me. We're looking at Hurricane Dorian, Cat 5 out there. It's just a reminder, we should all have this. Do you have a bug-out bag? If you're not familiar with it, you can do an internet search for what it is and what you ought to have in it. Maybe you have a handgun in it. Some do, some don't. Basic stuff. What if, here's the deal. If I came to your house and beat on the door and said, okay, you have 1 minute, 60 seconds to leave. There is a cloud of poison gas coming your way right now, and you have to leave. What would you grab? Interesting thought. What's in your bug-out bag? Your BUG, if you will. 866-TALK-GUN. Mike is in Kansas on 3. Mike, 303 British. You got one? Mike, are you there? All right, let's go down to Clyde on line 3. Let's see if we can find Clyde. Hey, Clyde, you there?
I am.
Good deal. So what's on your mind, sir?
I have a question. I'm looking for a recommendation on a light with a momentary switch for a Glock 22.
Talk to me about what kind of light you're looking for. That's the first thing. What do you want it to do? Is this going to be for home? Is it going to be a holster? What are we talking about?
For home. Home.
Okay.
For things that go bump in the night.
Sure. You're just going to leave it on there?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
And it probably would never be holstered. I could always take it off if I wanted to.
Sure.
But
of course. Well, we've been doing a lot of stuff with the folks from Surefire, and of course they have, a lot of different ones. Crimson Trace has lights as well. It really comes down to, unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to how much do you want to spend, and do you have a preference for any particular brands? Because some people say, I've always liked Surefire, and I like those, or I've always liked Crimson Trace, and I like those. That can kind of lead you where you want to go. First, I guess that's the first thought. And also, do you want something that's a light, or would you consider something that's a combination light and laser?
Light and laser. I got a 1911 Kimber with the Crimson Trace strips on it. I like that.
Yeah, it is
but
nice.
It doesn't have a light on it.
I would say take a look at either Crimson Trace or Surefire. What's the Surefire? We were just giving away a Surefire. I think it's like the X300. I'd have to go check it out. Amazing light, 1,000 lumens. Oh yeah, X300 Ultra. It's 1,000 lumens. The other thing, have you ever done any training or have any experience with a weapon-mounted light?
Yes.
Okay. So you understand, like if you got to move through an area, you can point that gun down at a 45-degree angle and still light up everything in the area. So you're not necessarily pointing the gun. You're not using it as a flashlight exactly, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Right. It does. It does.
Okay. Yeah, I would say, and we used to say, you don't want too much power. Once you start learning how to use it, you don't have to shine it all the way out there. You can bounce it off of walls. You can bounce it off the floor. I like basically moving with a gun at the 45-degree angle in front of me coming off the floor, and that light goes all around the room. And the other thing is with the momentary switch, I'm glad you asked about the momentary, is you turn it on, you turn it off. If you got to move, you turn it on, take a look at what you're looking at, turn it off, and move when it's dark, and then flip it back on, and then turn it off and move when it's dark again.
Right. I used to be in law enforcement, and I know all the training that we had, hold the flashlight out to the last dim with the gun, and it just seemed like there was never really a good way to do it, like the older mag lights that, you got to get the switch and.
Yep, and even a small tactical light, a pocket handheld light, I like them, I carry them. But, man, if you got to shoot, having a light on your gun is the way to go. And there's nothing that says you're not going to use both of them at the same time. I've seen people do that as well. But I think you're exactly right. On your home defense gun, having a light mounted on it is absolutely the way to go. I would say start with Surefire and Crimson Trace. And if, you're going to find what you're looking for there. And then it's just a matter of how much power you want, and what kind of features you want, and how much you want to spend, and go from there, all right?
Okay. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate the call. Let's drop down to line one. Mel is with us out of Oregon. Hello, Mel. Open carry.
Hello.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I called in probably about a month ago, and I was telling you about we had just gone shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to go again with my grandson and his friend. We're out in the woods here, but then we just drive up on the mountain and shoot. We got about 4 rifles. I agree with you about rifles. I figured that out a long time ago. In fact, I'm 70 and I didn't own a pistol until a couple of years ago because I thought, why am I buying a pistol when a rifle's about 10 times better?
Yeah.
And and so we're headed up to shoot right now. They stayed all night. They're in the band. We were one of the top bands in the nation.
Mel, I'm going to run out of time here. I got 30 seconds.
I wanted to ask you, what about open carry of a handgun? What do you think of that?
I'm not a fan. For me, open carry exposes it. People see it. I'd like to keep it, where only I know it's there. But if you do choose to open carry, absolutely positively use a good, serious retention holster so somebody cannot slip up behind you and yank it out of your holster. You need a real retention holster if you're going to open carry. Just not my choice. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back. Hey, by the way, we're going to be doing the after show in just a few minutes. This is your chance to get involved. If you have something you want to talk about, you really want to beat a subject up, and we have more time, frankly, on the after show, give us a call right now, 866-TALK GUN. If you haven't heard the after show, shame on you. Also, you can hear any of the shows we've done in the past. Use the Gun Dealio app. Just go download the Gun Dealio smartphone app, put it on your phone, and you can listen to our show anytime you want. There you go. Doug has called in from Vancouver, Washington, line 2. Doug, appreciate you calling back. Last time we talked, we were talking about 257 Weatherby ammo, right?
Yes, sir. And you were kind enough to send me a copy of your book, your dad's book. And I'm telling you, I haven't even read it yet, but that is a magnificent book. Hardcover, the gold edge page.
Yeah, leather bound. Yeah, it's the whole deal. Well, look, that's only fair because you sent me, in fact, I am literally looking at it right now, a box with a collection of 257 Weatherby ammo that you weren't using and some Norma brass, which I can't wait to play with. So, and a set of dies.
One of those boxes of Weatherby unprimed brass is made by Norma. And then, of course, the bulk ammo and the two cellophane or plastic boxes, or not boxes, packages, they're Norma also.
All right, here they are right here. See, I got it right here. That's the cellophane, that's the ammo. And I've got these cool boxes, the old style Weatherby ammo boxes, and they've got the tiger on them. They used to put animals on them. Now, here's the part I love the best. Okay, I got to tell people, have to share with them. A box of Weatherby ammo, and the price on it from G.I. Joe's was $15.49.
Oh, those were the good old days.
Oh, boy. Because it's a good thing ammo doesn't go bad, right?
Yes, it'll last forever.
Well, I think you'll enjoy the Weatherby book because it's the story of Roy Weatherby and what he did with the company and his development of the cartridges. But also, it's got some of the most interesting. It's got his personal diary of his first African safari. It's fascinating. Some of it is politically incorrect these days, but it is accurate. And so we put it together and put it in there.
Well, now, what would he be using, a 257 or 270 Weatherby?
He used everything. I'm trying to remember. I think he may have shot either an elephant or a Cape buffalo with a 257 Weatherby just to say that, to see if it could be done. And, of course, it can be, and it did. But, it's like he always had, just a little bit more power. A lot of people don't realize what a big deal the 257 Weatherby was because the 257 Roberts were still a Wildcat. So all we had was the 250-3000 Savage, the 250 Savage. So this thing was like 800 feet per second faster at the time. It was phenomenal. What a big improvement it was.
Hat off.
Yes, it's something else. And so I am seriously looking forward to using it on a mule deer hunt. That's the plan right now. And I just have to, we've been taking care of stuff around here. I haven't had a chance to get out and shoot it. But again, Doug, thank you so much. I really appreciate the ammo, and I'm really glad that you got the book. And I think you'll enjoy it and read it in good health, sir. Thank you. By the way, if you'd like a copy of that Weatherby book, we do have it at our website, shopguntalk.com. Even if I do say so myself, this is one that my dad and I wrote together with all sorts of help from the folks at Weatherby. But it is a really good history of what it takes to develop a gun company and a whole bunch of new cartridges that nobody ever heard of. And working with people like John Wayne and Clark Gable and others, celebrities who like to hunt and like to shoot. How cool. Hey, if you want to be a part of the after show, call us right now, 866-TALK-GUN. In the meantime, get out and do some shooting this week. Take somebody with you. Invite them to go shooting with you. I bet you they go, and you'll really enjoy taking them out there. Have a great week. Be safe.